Hi there. I want to talk about annulment. People think, we're going to go to Vegas, get married, where we're going to quickly get an annulment. But let's set the record straight. Annulments are usually misunderstood because of the way they're portrayed on, our popular movies. Unlike divorce, annulment legally declares that the marriage never existed. It's called void ab initio, void from the beginning. The problem is, the legal distinction has really strict limitations that most people don't realize. And ultimately, annulments are harder, not easier than divorce. So even though the popular belief might be, well, it's a quick fix to, do something that you regret, and you just simply go do that and you weren't ever married. Problem is, Michigan law provides very limited and specific legal grounds for an annulment. So, regretting your marriage or having second thoughts aren't valid reasons. There are legal grounds listed in the Michigan compiled laws, and one of those is bigamy. If one spouse was already married, they can't get married a second time while they're still married. Another one is you can't have prohibited relationships, meaning between marriages between close relatives. Cousins aren't allowed to marry each other. Incompetence, if one of the party lacked the mental capacity at the time of the marriage, that's a reason for annulment. Underage marriage, if one of the parties was under 18, couldn't give proper consent. Fraud or duress, if the consent was gained through deception or by force. And one of the other issues is inability to have children, but that has strict conditions that you have to file within 2 years of the marriage. And the inability to have children had to be where you couldn't know it at the time, it was hidden from the other party, and then you figured it out and you could then pursue it. So, the issue is timing with an annulment. You just can't file them at any time. You have deadlines. I just mentioned one of them with regards to infertility or inability to have children. Another one comes into play if you discover that there was fraud. You probably know that there was duress, but if you discover fraud and you just keep living as if you're married, you'll end up forfeiting your right to seek an annulment. With fraud and incompetence, again, once you know that you're married and you continue living together as if you're married, you lose that eligibility. So there are burdens of proof and different legal thresholds that the petitioner, the person filing for annulment, has to show the court system. And those legal grounds have to existed at the time of the marriage. So the court is going to be applying strict evidentiary standards. The claims of infertility, you got to be able to prove that the infertility existed at the time of the marriage, that it was incurable, and that the other party didn't disclose it. So, again, you will meet those requirements. If you can meet those requirements, you can pursue an annulment. So again, the legal consequences of an annulment, some people ask, well, okay, is it the same thing as divorce? It sort of is. The annulment says that the marriage never legally existed, but it doesn't erase the legal consequences. So if you have kids together, custody, parenting time, child support will be just like it would be in a divorce case. Property division, the dealing with the finances that were accrued during the time of the, we'll call it cohabitation or the time together as if you had been married, will all still be dealt with in a similar fashion like they would under a divorce case. Attorney's fees, for example, are under the same standard as if you were to get divorced. Kids, people ask, well, if the marriage wasn't legitimate and I seek to annul it and there are children, the kids aren't illegitimate, regardless if there is an annulment. Parental rights, custodial rights, responsibilities all remain the same. The court can issue a custody order, it can order support orders as part of an annulment. All the property division issues, the courts can divide property using divorce-style principles. The courts are going to look at your relationship, the length of your relationship, the financial contributions, the financial needs, even spousal support concept. Is there a need? Again, was there a reliance on the time together as if it were a marriage? The court system will prevent one party from unfairly walking away with all the assets. And the same thing applies to attorney's fees. If one party has significant income or assets attorney's fees might be awarded by a court system. Typically, annulments are going to be more appropriate with a short marriage, with minimal assets and no kids, and then having one of the grounds that we've mentioned, the bigamy or the underage marriage. You got to go into it, though, with realistic expectations. You're not just going to erase history, because if you've, gotten property together or you've gotten kids together, you're going to have to deal with it just like you would in a divorce situation. So, annulments aren't really do-overs. They require evidence, they require meeting the legal grounds, and you got to do so timely. They're often more complex than divorces, and especially in long-term marriages with kids or with property or with income, substantial incomes, they're going to be more difficult. In the end, the court is going to look at what's fair, protect the kids, and do things in an equitable resolution. Until next time.